Mr. Miles, he only get, I would say he only have less than a week to bring out his own defense arguments and all of these defense witnesses. But with each defense witness, I think it made a powerful stance in the court, because even till today, I still vividly remember Mr. Yi, one of the, witnesses brought by a defense team, who was forced by the Chinese Communist Party National Police secret agents in China, filed false complaints against Miles while he was in China. And he brought, even from the court documents, we would be able to say that Mr. Yi actually handed over lots of his, journals, recording, documenting his experience dealing with CCP National Police while he was in China. And eventually he was able to flee from communist China to United States. And one of the powerful testimonies that I still remember, that he said in the court, and he stated that, he came to testify not only to help Miles, he came to the court also to help himself, because he wants to clarify what was happening in the past, and he understood that he made a complaints, but he also wanted the systems to understand that the complaints were falsely filed or forced by Chinese Communist Party. So I would say lots of the details brought by a defense team were still marked in my memory, but in terms of all of the government witnesses, I've lost much of the memory only by reading transcripts and trying to learn their arguments. And of course, I think approaching to the end of the trial, everybody was very nervous about the results. It was much of the time was spent on waiting outside the courtroom, not actually sitting in the courtroom. But I would say that just based on very limited experience going to Southern District of New York, I think it's a very rare case that draw much public attention, especially among Chinese people, Chinese dissidents. And every single of our, supporters in the movement wake up very early every day, line up outside the Southern District of New York just to make sure that they would actually be able to line up very quietly and politely and waiting for the court to be opened. And so I would say that it's a very challenging journey, even in the court, and just to waiting for the results. And eventually, I think after the summation, I would say it's a very quick verdict, because in the middle that one of the jurors actually had certain situations that must be excused, and that an alternative juror to come in and to replace one of the jurors, and so that the deliberation needs to restart over. And so the actual verdict, the actual time that reached to the current verdict was actually only 2.5 days. So I was very surprised that, because it's 12 allegations against Miles, many of these allegations were very complex in terms of the components and the elements of validating the allegation. So I was very surprised that the juror actually only spent a few days to reach the verdict. But I would say that this was not the end for Mr. Guo's case. I understand that he and his defense team might need a little bit more time to come up with strategy for the next steps, which we will talk about later. His defense team could file an appeal to a Second Circuit court. There are also other post-trial motions that his defense team could be looking into and could possibly make a difference in Mr. Miles' case. So I would say it might seem to be a setback in the journey of the new federal state of China, but I would say larger efforts will still take place in the future, and it is a time for Mr. Miles and his defense team to come together and to come up with strategy, and I think once that time has come, we will be able to get more information.